Autumn, 1918. The war that was supposed to be over by Christmas, 4 years earlier, is finally drawing to a close. Here, Major General Adalbert Cronkite, commanding the 81st Division of the American Expeditionary Forces, surveys the French countryside from the relative comfort of a requisitioned chateau. The view outside is rather less comfortable. This is Hill 281, near Bethencourt, in the Meuse region of France. The 29th of September, 1918. Below, troops of the 33rd and 81st Divisions stream through the valley alongside the 14th and 15th Field Artillery. The Meuse-Argonne Offensive, the largest military operation in American history, has been underway for just 3 days. Nearly 1.2 million American soldiers will take part before it ends. The headquarters company of the 317th Infantry moves through. These are the men who keep the machine running. Communications, coordination, paperwork. Even in a world war, someone has to do the admin. Several days earlier, near Nixaville, Battery C of the 315th Field Artillery marches along a carefully camouflaged road through the Ouve du Champêtre woods. The netting and foliage overhead are there to conceal the column from German observation aircraft. It is painstaking work, and it is absolutely vital. By early November, the offensive is in its final, brutal phase. At Meuse-Argonne, in the Ardennes, the camera records what it finds at captured German machine gun positions. The men who manned them are still there. This footage was taken just 7 days before the armistice. It is a reminder that the end of the war did not feel like the end, not until it actually was. A destroyed German artillery position, not much left. At Jurcourt, an ambulance arrives at the forward dressing station of the 319th Ambulance Company. Speed here is everything. The 319th Field Hospital, part of the 305th Sanitary Train, is processing an average of 150 casualties every single day. To put that in perspective, that is more than 6 patients every hour, around the clock, without pause. A platoon of the 315th Machine Gun Battalion receives its orders at company headquarters. The order is straightforward enough: proceed to a designated location and get into action. The camera follows the process from the moment the dispatch arrives: the reading of the order, the quiet nods, the gathering of equipment. There is very little drama in the moment itself. The drama comes shortly after. The guns are set up, and the platoon moves into action. Even in the middle of an offensive, training continues. Here, men of the 2nd Battalion, 318th Infantry, practice with Stokes mortars. Lieutenant T.L. Cogswell of the 319th Infantry gives a 1-to-1 demonstration on attaching the tremblant, the cup-shaped grenade launcher, to the end of a rifle, a skill that could quite literally make the difference between life and death. At Bozy-sur-Aire, men of Company G, 318th Infantry, demonstrate what that training looks like in practice, firing rifle grenades at targets 220 yards distant. The accuracy required is considerable. These are not men who joined up knowing how to do this. Many of them were farmers, factory workers, and shopkeepers less than 2 years before. Company H, 318th Infantry, fires from the trenches. The firing bay allows a soldier to shoot without exposing the entire line. At Le Cléon, a rather neat piece of symmetry. 2nd Lieutenant V. A. Browning, son of the legendary firearms designer John Moses Browning, instructs men of the 315th Machine Gun Battalion in the use of his father's invention. One imagines the elder Browning would have approved, though perhaps not of the circumstances in which it was being demonstrated. To prove the gun's precision, Lieutenant Browning fires 500 consecutive rounds and cuts a clean piece of sheet metal from his target. His father would have been pleased. More mortar practice for the 2nd Battalion. Repetition is the soul of military readiness. Somain, the 23rd of October. Major Jennings C. Wise, commanding the 2nd Battalion of the 318th Infantry, is photographed alongside Lieutenant Roger L. Moore, the battalion transport officer, near one of the mess wagons. The transport line is the lifeline of any fighting unit. Without it, the men don't eat. Moore's job is unglamorous, essential, and largely unrecorded by history. This film is a rare exception. At Ypres, we see the men of sanitary units 639 and 586. Americans who had been attached to the French army for 2.5 years before the United States even entered the war. These men had served at the Somme, Verdun, the Marne, and more. By September 1918, they had seen more of this war than almost anyone. A captured German Mercedes ambulance, originally taken by the 131st Infantry, is now in service with the 319th Ambulance Company. Waste not, want not, even in the middle of a world war. Mechanic Gary and Private Breeze work on another captured German motor. Improvisation is not just encouraged, it is survival. Near the 81st Division headquarters at L'Empire, a more pastoral scene. French soldiers, those officially classified as unfit for frontline duty, are tasked with caring for the divisional donkeys. It is perhaps not the military career they envisioned. The donkeys appear indifferent. At Nixaville, troops from different units, headquarters staff, ration depot personnel, and engineers of the 308th mingle in a moment of relative calm. A platoon rests in the woods near headquarters. Moments like this are brief, and the men know it. Men of Battery A, 313th Field Artillery, carefully polish artillery shells earmarked for German positions. Even the shells are turned out properly. Standards must be maintained. Outside Le Neufour, the 27th of October, and it is payday for the 313th Machine Gun Battalion. Lieutenant W.E. Stewart and his assistant distribute the wages. Whatever the conditions, whatever the danger, the Army ensures its men are paid on time. One assumes they had limited opportunities to spend it. The 17th of October, Chahari. General John J. Pershing, commander of all American Expeditionary Forces, visits the headquarters of the 82nd Division alongside Major General Duncan. Pershing was not a man who believed in commanding from a distance. He visited his divisions frequently, and his presence here, captured on film, is a significant historical record. Pershing and Duncan depart. The visit is brief. There is always somewhere else to be. The 81st Division's headquarters staff, photographed outside their command post, established beneath the local village church. Colonel Boles, Colonel Parsons, and Major Whipple. The church roof provides useful cover. One presumes the congregation was not consulted. At Summerance, senior officers gather in front of the 81st Division Post Command. Among them, Brigadier General Lloyd M. Brett. 9 days from now, the war will be over. None of them know that yet. The commanding officers of the 2 veteran sanitary units, Lieutenants Kinsolving and Walker, Major Charles Sweeney and Lieutenant Colonel Charles Mitchell, study a map following the arrival of fresh dispatches. In an age before reliable radio communication, this is how orders moved through the battlefield, on foot, by hand, through whatever the war threw at the runner. General Cronkite examines German inscriptions carved into the chateau's stone fireplace, commemorating Kaiser Wilhelm I and the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, and now Kaiser Wilhelm II in the present conflict. History layered upon history. In a matter of weeks, the second inscription will also be consigned to it. General Cronkite dines with his senior staff and the French liaison officer. The table, the crockery, the measured formality, even here, at the sharp end of the Western Front, the rituals of officer life are maintained. The food was, by all accounts, considerably better than that enjoyed by the men outside. At Somain, the 2nd Battalion of the 318th Infantry parades in squad formation. The battalion moves into battalion front, A broad line formation, every man visible, dressed and aligned. Precision on the parade ground reflects discipline in the field. The manual of arms, the formal sequence of rifle movements that every soldier learns before he learns anything else. The band of the 319th Infantry leads the 2nd Battalion past the reviewing stand. In the middle of one of the bloodiest offensives in history, someone still packed the tubas. Major Jennings C. Wise, whom we saw earlier by the mess wagon, now takes the salute as his battalion passes in review. The men march with evident pride. They have earned it. The 28th of October at Broda Farm. Major General Dickman presents the Legion of Honor to Major General Camille Walsh of the French Army in recognition of distinguished service. The alliance between France and the United States, forged in revolution and renewed in war, is honored in this small ceremony in a muddy French farmyard. The 317th Infantry, 81st Division, passes in review before the generals. Look at their faces where the camera allows. These are young men, most of them, drawn largely from Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, the states that made up the 81st Division's recruiting base. They came to France knowing very little about it, and they are leaving, those who are leaving, having seen more of it than they ever wished to. The Meuse-Argonne Offensive will ultimately cost over 26,000 American lives, with more than 95,000 wounded. The 81st Division fought through some of the hardest ground of the entire campaign. The flag of Sanitary Unit 639, bearing the Croix de Guerre and the names of the battles it fought through, the soldier holding it, Private Howard, has been awarded the same honor. The war ends here. The flag carries the memory forward.